draft. I don't know. So, all right, let's move along. Cornerbacks. So at the cornerback position, same exact process that we did earlier. Top cornerback prospects coming out of All-Star Week. And you can see here we got our boy Chris Johnson. He's the one that keeps popping up to me, guys. He's the guy that kind of keeps, every time we go to do a mock draft, every time I'm looking at the board where good value is, Chris Johnson seems to be right there at the top or near the top of the list of, wow, this would be a great pick at this pick right here. So here's what we got. And I'm probably going to butcher some of these names, so I apologize. You've got Mansoor, Delane, cornerback out of LSU, a 9.7 grade on him. And again, if you guys recognize someone that's going back to college, let me know in the Patreon group in the draft board link, and we will make sure we remove them, okay? 9.7 is our grade on him. Consensus Big Board had him at 13. PFF Big Board had him at 14, okay? So he's going to be long gone when the Packers pick. Daniel Jeremiah had him at 8. This is the best corner in the draft as it sits right now, right? It is. Next on the list, Jermod McCoy, Tennessee guy, cornerback out of University of Tennessee, 11.8 grade. He's sitting in the 14 spot in the Consensus Big Board. And then we've got him in the 12 spot on the PFF Big Board. Another guy that's going to be long gone. So what you're noticing is your top 2 corners in the draft, most likely going to be top 10 picks, definitely top 15 picks, unless something goes awry, of course. That's Mansoor Delane out of LSU, and then Jermod McCoy, cornerback out of Tennessee, a couple SEC guys there. Now you get to our boy Chris Johnson, all right, cornerback out of San Diego State. And I'm going to start getting the captain patches in. I did notice it on this picture, so obviously Chris Johnson, a captain. But our grade of 25.3. He does get the 5-point bonus. Keep in mind that Daniel Jeremiah did not have him in the top 50, okay? And Walter Football did not as well. That's a good thing for us. Now, where did the Consensus Big Board have him? 46. Where does the PFF Big Board have him? 43. So he's probably going to be nabbed a few picks before where we go if the draft were to start today. So when you look at Chris Johnson, would love to have him at pick 52. You kidding me? Run the damn card. He balled out at Senior Bowl week, team captain, the second highest graded cornerback in all of college football last year, according to PFF. That'd be a great pick at 52. So he's the one that's really pops right out of the gate for me. Next on the list is Avion Terrell, cornerback out of Clemson. 26.4 is the grade. 18th on the Consensus Big Board, 18th on the PFF Big Board, okay? So that's, at 52, absolutely we would take him. He's probably going to go somewhere around the 20 mark or maybe 25, and that's about where he should go. Next is Keith Abney, cornerback out of Arizona State, 31.7 grade. He's 42nd on the Consensus Big Board, 35th on the PFF Big Board. All right. Colton Hood, cornerback out of Tennessee. So we got 2 Tennessee corners. I will tell you this. Jermod McCoy, we need to light him up red, and I'll try to do that today if I don't forget. He had a knee injury, I think an ACL, at the end of the 24 season. They were expecting him back this year, expecting him back. He never made it back. Okay, so he didn't play any football this year at Tennessee. And the surprise for UT, I'm just about an hour away from Knoxville, so I kind of keep up with this stuff pretty close here with the balls. Colton Hood, I mean, he really stepped up. It was like, dang, is Colton Hood as good as Jermod McCoy? I think the answer is no if McCoy is healthy, but Colton Hood is an interesting prospect. We got a 34.5 on him. Consensus Big Board has him at 31. Probably be gone when we pick. D'Angelo Pons, cornerback out of Indiana. Senior Bowl participant, 39.1 is his grade, 62nd on the PFF Big Board. So right now you've got 2 names that our board is saying, hey, these might be great picks. Chris Johnson out of San Diego State, D'Angelo Pons out of the national championship Indiana Hoosiers football team, okay? Those are 2 that really pop. Now here's the problem with Pons. All the draft experts will come sliding into the DMs and into the mentions on X and go, he's too small. Could be the case. They may look at him like he's too small. He don't play small on the football field, though. That dude's a damn dog. And in the past, we've passed up on people like Brian Branch and others because people are going, oh, they're too small. They get to the league, and they're like Tasmanian devils out there. Now, go back to what Bobby Babich, our new defensive passing game coordinator, said when he was in Buffalo. What I try to do, I try to pretend these players are just shadows. They're silhouettes. I can't see their height. I can't see their weight. I can only watch what they put on tape. Maybe that's going to shift in Green Bay. Now, Goody, like I said before, may look at Bobby Babbitt and go, that's a cute little fella. Sit down. I'll make the draft picks around there. Could be. But I'm telling you, you take what Bobby Babbitt says, and then you put silhouettes on all these players. D'Angelo Pond's one that's going to jump off the freaking page. So we got Jacob joining us here now. Jacob, we're just diving into the cornerback room. You got anything you want to add up to this point, man, before we continue down this list, try to find some gems here?
No, I mean, the chat seems to agree that Pons is kind of a dog. I just roll out of bed, so excuse me if I look like a absolute loser right now. But I was wondering, what are your thoughts on Devin Moore out of Florida?
Devin Moore, well, he is way down on our list, okay? And this is where it gets really strange, Jacob. Check this out. And check your mic for me if you don't care, man. I think it stole your mic like it does. And hopefully it didn't steal mine. Let me know if I sound like I'm in a can here too. Devin Moore, cornerback out of Florida. He was at the Senior Bowl. We've got a 152.3 grade on him, okay? 152.3. Consensus Big Board has him at 75. So they're saying he's going to be long gone before he gets to the point where we think there's enough value to take him. Here's what's wild, Jacob. The PFF Big Board has him at 339. So PFF is saying he's undraftable, and the Consensus Big Board is saying he's a top 75 prospect. We're saying 152.3.
Where do we have Keontae Scott?
Keontae Scott's very interesting. We hadn't got to him yet. He was a couple more down. We've got a 45.7 on him, 73rd on the Consensus Big Board, 54th on the PFF Big Board. I'd be okay with taking him at 52. The problem, Jacob, is you're probably going to have a handful of players that, according to our board, are worthy of a top 32 pick, a top 40 pick. And it's like, okay, do we reach for a need? But yeah, I would be okay with that pick for sure. What we're going to run into is according to our board, when we get to that pick, and we're going to talk offensive line here in a minute, but when you get to our pick at 52, I think you're going to have a cluster of offensive linemen where you go, hey, any of these guys would be great right here. You got maybe 2 or 3 cornerbacks that would be good. And you go, okay, do we try to wait on offensive line and get the pick of the litter of the cornerback there? Or do we trade back and potentially miss out on both of these corners that we may like? Because you called one out here, Keontae Scott, D'Angelo Pons, Chris Johnson. Those are 3 that I'm like at 52. Makes a lot of sense. Okay. So to answer your question, in that situation, you probably have to trade back, right? And I don't think anybody wants to do that. So it's interesting. If you did trade back 5 picks, you pick up an extra pick, and you could probably still get an offensive lineman in the 3rd round and still get a cornerback in the 2nd round and feel good about your draft board. So yeah, Keontae Scott, though, Jacob, to answer your question, he's high on the board, and it's also worth mentioning. Now, our board has a 45.7. Daniel Jeremiah did not have him in his top 50, so he may be 51, which would be okay, right about where we want him to be, right? But we don't know as of right now. So, and one we didn't mention, Brandon. I don't know how to say the last name. I don't know if it's Sice or Keisean or Cisse or what. Cornerback out of South Carolina. It's spelled Cisse. So I need to look up that one and put it on my board, on my desk, so I don't continue to botch these names. We got a 42.4 on him, Jacob. Consensus Big Board had him at 30, unfortunately. PFF Big Board had him at 32. Daniel Jeremiah has him at 31. Walter Football had him as high as 13. So he'll probably be gone, but that's one that would be worthy of the 52nd pick too.
Okay. And like you said, we did the episode just the other day where we talked about, like, there's a lot of intriguing interior O linemen and, just O linemen in general. It's like, yeah, it's tough. Like, I think we talked about this last year too. It's like, it's a tough decision to make, to figure out, like, do you take a shot at a guy that you think could be a really, like, up and coming starter on the O-line, or do you really want to move back, like you said, or at least give like, take the chance that maybe you're going to miss on a guy like a cornerback. And I know that a lot of people, they'll still bring up freaking what's his name, Cooper. It's just what's going to happen over and over every draft. They feel like that we missed on this or that guy. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's what happens in the draft. Like, you're
every GM. That happens every GM.
Yeah. It's not going to always end out well. So it's an interesting situation to be in for sure. What do you think about Will Lee III? Do we have him on the draft board there?
We do. We've got a 134.3 on. This is really interesting because 134.3, Consensus Big Board has him at 86. So they're saying he'll be long gone before it makes sense for us to draft him, according to our board. Walter Football had a 35 on him. So they had him the 35th best prospect. The problem is Daniel Jeremiah didn't have him in the top 50. I'm going to be honest. I trust DJ over Walter Football. You're talking about a former scout and Daniel Jeremiah, right? So former NFL scout, I should say. So that's where he at. That one would not make sense to me. There was another player. Julian Neal was one that was interesting. Julian Neal out of Arkansas, 82.0. The consensus big board had him at 67. And of course, the PFF big board had him at 87. So if he were to fall to us in the 80s, it would make sense. You could justify it based off the grade, but I have a feeling there's going to be about 15 other prospects that you have a significantly higher grade on that it wouldn't make sense for Julian Neal. That's another one I've kind of tried to troubleshoot that one a little bit. Now, Chandler Rivers out of Duke, 67.0. Consensus big board had him at 98. So that's one. If he falls to 98 and you nab him in the 80s, that's a scenario where you could potentially take one with the 3rd round pick and go offensive line with your 52nd pick. Yeah. So, and what we did understand too, just a little side note, we just did a defensive tackle breakdown, and there was very few that made sense at 52. So it's like most of these guys, we're going to find ourselves in no man's land when it comes to defensive tackle. So it really does. It feels like it's narrowing in the greater chance at 52 of taking a offensive lineman or a cornerback. So,
okay.
Any other ones that come to mind for you before we move along here, man?
No, I mean, those are kind of just the ones that popped off the page for me. But, I couldn't log into my stupid NFL Network thing, and then I had to get to work yesterday again unexpectedly. So I didn't get to watch the Senior Bowl. Was there anyone that kind of popped off the page or popped off the screen, I should say, for you in the cornerback or the secondary in that game?
Yeah, it's Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson out of San Diego State. He's the only cornerback that we've gave a Senior Bowl bonus to yet. And again, I'm going to continue to comb through. There may be a few more that get implemented, but I try to be stingy with those bonuses because you've got some people in the media, they think everybody had a great Senior Bowl. We'd have 5-point bonuses everywhere, right? I use anything that Daniel Jeremiah says in terms of he was a standout, not just one play, but he'll create articles like here are the standout players from the Senior Bowl. And then I try to do that with, I think, Chad Reuter of NFL.com with the East-West Shrine Bowl as well. So to answer your question, the only cornerback that got a Senior Bowl or East-West Shrine Bowl bonus for us was Chris Johnson, cornerback out of San Diego State. I'm not done combing through, but as it sits right now, that would be the answer I would give you. And again, he's sitting in the 46th spot, and we have a 25.3 grade. If he were to fall to 52, run the card. Now, again, I haven't broke down his size. We haven't got the heart eye emojis yet on whether or not they meet the athletic threshold for Goody and how he likes to draft corners. But that's kind of how it sits right there. And that's Chris Johnson right there, cornerback out of Arizona. So,
right. Last one I'd ask about is just because it feels like we love Georgia guys so much. Daylen Everette, where does he fall on our board?
Mm-hmm. Daylen Everette. We do not have him in our top 50. Top 50 with a 150 grade, I should say. Okay. He did not make the list. So,
gotcha.
Now I could probably look over here on the board. Actually, let me off to the side here. That's kind of easy to do. You said Everette, right?
Yep, Daylen Everette.
Daylen Everette. Okay, so Daylen Everette. We've got a 193.3 on him. The consensus big board had him at 127, and the PFF big board had him at 73. Which is mind-boggling to me because the PFF big board has him at 73. And if I've got the number in here correctly, he graded out as the 380th best cornerback in 2025, according to PFF.
That's so weird, dude.
Yeah. I don't know how you do that. And again, that's why the way that we combat this, guys, with our board is we do it in a way that we give you a multitude of things that are applied to the board so you can remove that bias. Like if we only use the PFF big board and not the consensus big board, that would be swaying our board in a big way. But it is important to look at that and go, okay, there's a reason maybe PFF has them that high. So, but if you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments, how do you feel about the cornerback prospects? How do you feel about how the board is going to fall here? Okay. We want to hear from you. Let us know if there's a prospect that we didn't talk about that you liked a little bit more. Or if maybe there's a prospect we talked about we liked that you said, nah, I think he's going to be a bust. Let us know in the comments. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future content.